detailed response?
I would be happy to, Senator.
On behalf of the chair, Senator Lee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of you for being here, and especially for your willingness to serve. Mr. Edlow, let's start with you. The Biden administration turned a lot of things on their heads. One of the many things they turned on their heads involves the optional practical training program, and they turned it into the single largest guest worker program, bypassing the traditional limitations, the traditional rules that would otherwise apply by operation of law on other visas like H-1B in the United States. What changes would you plan, if confirmed, to make in order to fix that issue?
Thank you, Senator. I think the way in which OPT has been handled over the past 4 years with the help of certain decisions coming out of the D.C. Circuit Court have been a real problem in terms of misapplication of the law. What I want to see would be essentially a regulatory and sub-regulatory program that would allow us to remove the ability for employment authorizations for F1 students beyond the time that they are in school.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Geiser, I'd like to turn to you next. You're an issues and appeals guy. You've clerked for 2 Federal Court of Appeals judges, Judges Rao and Edith Jones, 2 of the very best judges we've ever had in the U.S. Courts of Appeals, and also for Justice Alito. At Jones Day, I take it you worked in the Issues and Appeals section, and that's what you do. That is exactly what we need inside the Office of Legal Counsel, in my view. Trial work is important. It's fundamental. It's essential to our system, and it's very, very different than doing appeals. So I just wanted to note that. One of my colleagues made an observation about that. To me, that matters next to nothing, how much time you've spent in a trial courtroom or in front of juries. That is not the work of the Office of Legal Counsel, which has historically been staffed quite appropriately, in my view, by people with stellar, blue ribbon, usually good appellate court experience, appellate court clerkships, and U.S. Supreme Court experience. So for whatever that's worth. Now, you're currently serving as the Solicitor General of the state of Ohio, further advancing your expertise, your knowledge, your familiarity with the appellate courtroom. As I understand it, the Solicitor General of the state of Ohio operates a little bit differently than many of the others do, and in ways that almost certainly will prepare you exceptionally well to head the Office of Legal Counsel. Tell us about that.
Thank you very much, Senator Lee. In my capacity as Ohio Solicitor General, I not only am the chief appellate lawyer for the state of Ohio, I'm also in charge of the Attorney General's Opinions Unit, where the Attorney General of Ohio is authorized to opine definitively on Ohio law to certain authorized requesters. I understand that role is very similar to the Office of Legal Counsel's historic role of opining on federal questions.
Stunningly similar, in fact. I mean, the U.S. Department of Justice operates as something of a full-service law firm, the biggest in the country, and the office that you'll be heading, should you be confirmed, is that office that provides people with advice. That necessarily requires you to have extensive appellate experience and a good ability to read how appellate courts, including and especially the Supreme Court, will respond. Mr. Woodward, if confirmed as the Associate Attorney General, in addition to being the #3 person at the Department of Justice, you'll be the man. You'll be, in Spanish we would say, el mero mero, the law, when it comes to all of the oversight of all civil litigation, a number of other matters as well. Tell me how, in that position, if confirmed, you could help the Department of Justice rein in the burdensome, excessive regulation and the excessive delegation of lawmaking power to our executive branch agencies through the non-delegation or otherwise.
Senator, thank you for the question, and thank you for taking the opportunity to meet with us in advance of the hearing. As the Associate Attorney General, there would be a number of opportunities for us to challenge the burdensome regulations that have been imposed on our nation, on our businesses, on our people. Affirmative litigation is a critical aspect of what the associate's office oversees. What we see in the papers today is the defense of executive orders. What's talked less about is all of the affirmative cases that are being brought by the civil division, the civil rights division, the tax division, the antitrust division. And so challenging unconstitutional regulations, as I alluded with your colleague earlier, would be a key piece of what I expect the Department of Justice to do.
Thank you for sharing that. And I want to follow up on that just briefly. When some people hear the word unconstitutional, they might think, understandably, that what you mean is unconstitutional in a way that's been recognized by the Supreme Court, in a way that is directly traceable as unconstitutional to a particular court ruling, or especially a Supreme Court ruling. But that's, more broadly speaking, that's not necessarily the appropriate way to view it, is it? In other words, there are certain features of the Constitution that don't always get tested. If they are tested, they're not always directly addressed by the Supreme Court. Constitutional avoidance, for example, is a means by which the court will often try to decide a case or controversy on a different ground if the constitutional question can be avoided. And so the non-delegation doctrine itself has been acknowledged by the Supreme Court, tends not to be enforced by the Supreme Court. And I would imagine that that's where Department of Justice that understands the implications of Article I, Section 7, the fact that in order to make, modify, alter, create, or repeal a federal law, one has to follow the two-pronged formula of Article I, Section 7, which includes bicameralism and presentment. Is that something that, that, in your view, a good Associate Attorney General ought to examine?
Yes, Senator, absolutely.
Thank you very much, and I see my time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your characteristic generosity in letting me exceed that.
I love giving away time that's not mine, Senator Lee. So
especially when we're talking about the non-delegate.
Exactly. It doesn't get more exciting than that.
In Provo, we speak of little else.
Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me.